Cinco de Mayo to those that celebrate it. And this beautiful spring afternoon. Call this first meeting of the month of May to order. Mr. Jones will lead us in invocation, and Councilmember Solomon will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Almighty and merciful Father, we come before you in almost the way that we know how. We ask your blessing upon this meeting. I ask you to lead it, guide it in the direction that you would have it to go. Bless each and every one gathered here in the sound of my voice, that love, peace, harmony, and unity will prevail. Oh God, we ask you to walk up and down this chamber right now, God. Bless everyone in this chamber, God. Bless them, oh God, as only you can do it, Father. Then, God, we pause and say thank you. And as we meditate and think about our service men and women, those who stand in arm's way right now, bless them and keep them under your protective care. And guard their footsteps and regulate their minds, that they will return to us safely, God. And then, God, that peace, love, and harmony will prevail. God, if there's any animosity, hatred, and discordance among this body, we ask you to move it right now in the mighty name of Jesus. God, be with the sick, the bereaved, the shut in. Touch them right now. And then, God, when we have done all these hands have been signed to do, give us a home somewhere in your kingdom where we may praise your name forevermore. These are all blessings right in your righteous name. Amen. Amen. Amen.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Solomon and Brother Jones. We will now approval of the agenda. Council, what is your pleasure? Mayor Pro Tem Alvarez.
Mayor, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Alvarez. Councilmember Solomon.
Second it.
Second by Councilmember Solomon. Any discussion? None. All in favor say do aye. All opposed do no. Councilmember Kendrick. Got to vote. Motion carried 4-0. Next item, presentations, proclamation PR 26009, proclamation recognizing Municipal Clerks Week. And if the city secretary and any other city clerks that we have join me at the mic. And then for proclamation, PR 26-010, proclamation recognizing Silver Star families. If you are a family member taking care of a wounded veteran, please join me at that mic when that time is up. I guess you're the lone city clerk.
Lucky me.
So whereas the profession of municipal clerks is essential to the collective functioning of the city of Killeen, ensuring transparency, accountability, and the efficient delivery of municipal services to our residents. And whereas the office of municipal clerk is recognized as the oldest among public servants and continues to serve as a cornerstone of local government operations. And whereas the city of Killeen's municipal clerks serve as the official record keepers of the city, maintaining valuable documents, supporting city council proceedings, administering elections, and ensuring compliance with applicable laws and regulations. And whereas the municipal clerks of the city of Killeen demonstrate exceptional dedication, integrity, and professionalism, often working diligently behind the scenes to support the effective governance and daily operations of the city. And whereas Municipal Clerks Week provides an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the invaluable work of municipal clerks, their vital contributions to public service, and their essential role in the daily operations of our city. Now, therefore, I, Riakos Adams, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Killeen, do hereby proclaim the week of May 3rd through 9th, 2026 as Municipal Clerks Week, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the city of Killeen to be affixed this 21st day of April 2026. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You want to say anything?
No, sir.
Okay. So if there are any veterans or any of those that take care of any veterans, mainly them, Silver Star, you have the Gold Star family members. Those are the ones that lost residents. But as city, as part of the National League of Cities, this is a program they support to get that organization to become a chartered organization under Congress. Part of that process across the city, on Saturday through this week's mayors are declaring either their name in the street, well, we have a process for that, or they're declaring a day as Silver Star Families Day. So do we have any veterans or even family members who are taking care of wounded veterans? We have one. I know we got some other veterans. Mr. Kimball, please come join me up at the front. Ms. Brown. Well, I'm not gonna make you come up, Mr. Bass, Mr. Fornino. If you choose not to, it's okay. Mr. Kendrick, you want to join me down on the Mr. Solomon. Chief Lopez, you can join us over here too.
Chief Warrant Officer.
Yeah, Chief Warrant Officer Lopez. We don't. I won't say what because we're in the public. So, being the city that we are, a military city essentially, we want to make sure we honor and recognize all the families and veterans that have served and have just shy of paid the final sacrifice. So, on behalf of the citizens of Killeen, whereas the city of Killeen has a long-standing tradition of honoring the courage, service, and sacrifice of the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, and whereas the Silver Star represents one of the nation's highest military decorations for valor in combat, symbolizing extraordinary heroism and selfless service in defense of our country, and whereas Silver Star families carry a legacy of sacrifice, resilience, and strength, standing as a testament to the enduring spirit of those who have given so much in service to the United States. And whereas we, as a community, recognize and honor the service members who have been wounded, injured, or made ill in the line of duty, as well as the families who support them through their journeys of recovery and healing. And whereas the Silver Star Service Banner Day provides an opportunity for the community to reflect on the sacrifices made by our nation's heroes and to express gratitude for their unwavering dedication and commitment. Now, therefore, I, Rialcos Adams, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Killeen, do hereby proclaim May 5th, 2026 as Silver Star Service Banner Day. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Killeen to be affixed this 5th day of May, 2026. There's actually a flag and banner that we don't sell it. Thanks. And my hope is our successor continues this for next year as we build this program. Thanks. Thank you for joining me. We will now proceed to the work session. Council members, you have 3 minutes, 3 times to speak each. The only motions, there's no decisions that will be made during this. There was no action taken during this period. MM 26-014, consider minutes of regular city council meeting of April 7, 2026. Questions, issues? Seeing none. RS 26-066, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the purchase of technology equipment for the Rosa Herford Community Center from GTS Technology Solutions in the amount of $235,000 and $235,265. Mr. Resto.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council. The item before you tonight is for the purchase of technology equipment from Rosa Herford. I also have Ms. Tiffany McNair, who's from the Community Development Director, be available to ask questions because this funding is coming from the CDBG funds. So January 1st of 2026, Ms. McNair, she brought the reprogramming funds to council that approved at that time for this technology equipment. So Rosa Herford Community Center is currently under construction as a modern multi-purpose facility designed to support community programming, public meetings, educational activity, and civic engagement. To ensure the facility is fully operational upon completion, installation of enterprise-grade network equipment and computer equipment is required as part of the construction project. The proposed technology equipment includes network switches, wireless access points, uninterruptible power supplies, desk phones, staff workstations, as well as the workroom workstations, program support computers, that's what those are. All equipment will align with the existing city technology standards and ensure that the centralized management and operational consistency of long-term life cycle planning is available. The purchase of the equipment is from GTS Technology Solution, a value-added reseller, is quoted through the Texas DIR contracts 5792, 5327, and TIPS contract 230105 in amount of $235,265. Funding, again, for this equipment was accepted earlier this year utilizing the Community Development Grant Funds. And staff recommends that the city approve the procurement of the technology equipment, hardware from GTS Technologies using the DIR contracts 5792, 5347, and the TIPS contract 230105 in the amount of $235,265, and that the city manager or designee be authorized to execute any change orders as permitted by state and local law. And we are available for any questions that you might have.
Any questions, council? All right, no questions at this time. Thank you, sir. All right, proceeding forward, RS 26-067, consider a memorandum of resolution approving the purchase and installation of equipment for the outdoor warning siren capital improvement project from Federal Signal in the amount of $250,000, $250,486.30. Ms. Williams.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. So today I bring to you this project that was to update and to expand our current footprint for sirens within the city. So as it was stated in the reading of the item, that this was budgeted on FY26 capital improvement plan. And this is phase 2 of the warning siren project. This project includes the installation of 5 new outdoor warning sirens in areas where additional coverage was deemed needed based on a sound study that was conducted by our vendor and along with staff. The project includes 1 modulator high-powered speaker array, or MOD, and 4 high-powered outdoor sirens, as well as the addition of software to integrate for lightning detection and possibly also to integrate, well, it will integrate with messaging capabilities with other systems that we have. There it goes. So you see on this map, the red circles are the existing locations for sirens throughout the city. The yellow circles show where the proposed new sirens will go. You'll notice that on the north side of town, you have the MOD, which is labeled MOD 5020. That is actually going to be located at our park on W.S. Young. That modulator siren not only will provide an audible sound like what most people are used to hearing, but it will also have the capability to give spoken instructions to allow for patrons who are outdoors and within range to hear that, to have clearer instructions as to what expected actions they should take. Whereas with the traditional sirens that are similar to what people are used to from the civil defense days, where it just gives an audible wailing sound, we educate everybody that when you hear those tones, that what it means is to go inside and seek shelter and then seek additional information about circumstances. So the lightning alerting and messaging software will enhance our capability to detect lightning hazards within the defined distance of the siren locations. And you saw from the previous map that we have a pretty good blanket of siren locations across the city. The software will also allow for responders and staff to receive additional alerts to their mobile devices regarding the activation of sirens or NOAA, which would be the Weather Services issued alerts, and provide us additional capability to remotely initiate sirens when seconds count. So this enhanced software, we're already able to activate the sirens via an app. This will allow us to add some additional capability to that activation process to make it more seamless and much easier for individuals to do quickly. And also, this provides a pathway for integration with other emergency notification systems. So we recently brought to you integrating the notifications with Civic Plus. This software will allow us to make a connection between those so that we can hopefully make things a little bit more automated and where things will work together. So on the fiscal impact, this was, as I had said before, was budgeted for $250,486.30 on the 2026 CIP. And that includes the one solar-powered mod speaker array at the community park, 4 solar-powered mechanical high-powered outdoor sirens, and 5 battery backup systems in the steel poles that they'll be mounted on. This was a budgeted expense. It all conforms to city policy, and Federal Signal is the vendor that we are proposing, and that contract is under HGAC BUY, contract number HP08-25. So that is a cooperative buy board that contract would be under. And so staff recommends that the city approve the purchase and installation of outdoor warning sirens, the Phase 2 capital improvement project from Federal Signal in the amount of $250,486.30, and authorize the city manager or his designee to execute all change orders within the amount set by state and local law. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Councilmember Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mrs. William, thank you. I think this is really good for our citizens and being able to upgrade. One question that I have, you mentioned about the speaker that's going to be located, I believe, near W.S. Young.
Correct.
Lions Park. Will that be able to reach all of the
So
citizens?
it'll be at the community park on W.S. Young,
Okay,
the one near the railroad tracks. And the sound penetration for that will encompass all of the area of the park on both sides of the street. So they should be able to hear the audible messaging. But they will also, in addition, be able to hear the wail from the other sirens that are nearby as well. And so once you get beyond kind of the footprint of that modular siren, you won't be able to clearly understand the spoken instructions, but at least you'll know that there's something happening that you need to seek shelter from.
okay, because I was thinking that, West Killeen would not be able to hear it.
So we do have other
will.
other sirens like this at other locations where there
With the
is one
speaker
at there is
ability.
one at Lions Park, and there's a couple of others as well. And we locate those in those areas where people tend to congregate outdoors.
Great. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, and I'm glad you said the part about the integration with, so I guess the question I have, there's no, Councilmember Kendrick?
Oh, you could finish.
Oh, go ahead.
No, what I wanted to relay to Councilman Solomon, that there's one on Bunny Trail,
Yes, sir.
and I hear it quite often. Also, have we decided the preset messages that we're gonna put in there?
Yes, we do have some templated messages that we already have within the system, and we can also tweak those as we need to address different circumstances, but we do have some already preloaded in the system.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
The question that I was going to ask you, I know with the change in the SICOG system, and I know we will have people in our area, will that also trigger that? Or will that also be able to send message? Or does that require you guys to forward it?
For the Everbridge system that the COG is moving to, it would require us to forward it or ask for it to be put out on that system. Well, basically, we'll still have the ability to log into that system. So we would have to log into a second system to push a message out through that. But with the Civic Plus system, we would be able to tie them together and make it more seamless.
Okay.
Again, both of them are subscription-based systems, so people may subscribe to both. So they may subscribe to one versus the other, but we do work to make sure that we can have those systems talk to each other as best as we can.
Okay, thank you. All right, no other questions? I appreciate your presentation.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah. Moving on, RS 26069, stand corrected. RS 26-068, consider a memorandum resolution declaring vacancies on the Animal Advisory Committee Board and appointing 3 new members.
All right, well, good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is to declare the 3 vacancies and appoint new members. The Animal Advisory Committee Chair, Ms. Brand, has sent a letter to the City Manager's office notifying staff that 3 of the committee members have missed 3 consecutive board meetings. Section 2-118 of the Code of Ordinances outlines the procedures for removal of a member. Jamie Waller, a citizen rep, Rochelle Moffett, a citizen rep, and Brianna Rosales, an animal welfare rep, are the recommended members to be removed based on absences. These are the individuals who have applied. Most of them qualify as the citizen representation, and Scotty Hilder also qualifies as an animal welfare representative. So tonight, we're asking for council to make suggestions for appointments after declaring 3 vacancies. So with that, does council have suggestions? Mayor Adams, I know you're the liaison to this board.
Yes, and after reviewing the application, you go back a slide.
Yes, sir.
Okay, make sure I got the same people on my list. And I know Mr. Hilder, with his job, I want to recommend him to be the animal welfare representative. And then go back one, make sure I spell the name right.
Sure.
Christy Wilbanks. And where is she? Denise Sherman.
Okay. All right. So we have Ms. Sherman, Ms. Wilbanks, yes, Ms. Sherman, Ms. Wilbanks, and Mr. Hilder?
Yes.
Yes, sir. All right. If there's no other questions, that's all we needed.
My apologies, little admin thing. Going on to RS 26-26069, consider a memorandum resolution expiring the conditional use permits for 4 properties in accordance with Killeen Code of Ordinance, Section 31-456, E1A. Ms. Messer, you have that one, and the next one, I'll read that into the agenda for the workshop too. RS 26-070, consider a memorandum resolution amending the fiscal year 2026 agreement with the Killeen Economic Development Corporation to provide economic development services in the amount of $215,000. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This item is regarding the expiration of 4 conditional use permits. As you know, Killeen Code of Ordinances, Section 31-456 states that conditional use permit is terminated if the building or premises is not put to the permitted use for a period of 1 year from the effective date of the ordinance, or the permitted use ceases for any one-year period. Chapter 31 also states that whenever the Planning and Development Director makes a determination that an event of termination has occurred, he or she shall promptly forward a written report to the council describing the facts surrounding the determination and the reasons. So with that, we've identified 4 conditional use permits that have not been put to the permitted use and are therefore expired. The first 2 are properties along 195 in the vicinity of Tower Hill Lane that were approved for single-family use in the University District. Those were approved in 2017 and 2018. The third is a property on Chaparral Road that was approved for a retail store greater than 10,000 square feet in the Neighborhood Business District. And the fourth is there's a property on Featherline Road that was approved for a battery storage site in 2023. Each of these properties remains undeveloped and the conditional use permits have not been implemented. Upon termination of the CUPs, the properties will revert to the underlying zoning of the property. So this is the zoning map of the first piece of property on 195 near Tower Hill, and the adjacent property to the south as well. Those were, again, conditional use permits to allow for single-family residential in the University District. This is the property on Chaparral and the property on Featherline. Notice was sent as required by Chapter 31 on April 1st. And with that, staff's recommendation is that the council approve a memorandum of resolution approving staff's determination that the conditional use permits for the subject properties are terminated. Happy to answer questions.
Do you have any questions, council? Well, seeing none, thank you, ma'am. Proceed to the next.
Okay. The next item is an amendment to the contract with KEDC. The City of Killeen entered into an agreement with KEDC in 1990 to provide economic development services, and since that time, the city has maintained its partnership with KEDC through ongoing collaboration and annual appropriations. In December of '24, council approved a 2-year agreement for FY25 and FY26, which included an annual appropriation of $885,000 on April 21st of this year. Council approved an increase to that in the amount of $215,000, which brings the total FY26 appropriation to $1.1 million. With that, staff's recommendation is for the approval of the amendment with KEDC to increase their FY26 appropriation to $1.1 million. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving on to RS 26-071. Consider a memorandum resolution granting an electric utility easement to Bartlett Electric Cooperative Incorporated to provide power to the Highway 195 ground storage tank. And then you also have RS 26-072. Consider a memorandum resolution awarding bid number 26-24, pavement marketing services to DIJ Construction Incorporated in the amount of $473,664. Thank you, Mr. Zagers.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and fellow council members. So this item is for a electric utility easement for Bartlett Electric for our Highway 195 ground storage tank project. In 2025 Water and Wastewater Master Plan, it included the construction of this $1.5 million gallon ground storage tank that serving as an elevated storage tank near the hill. It's on the east side of Highway 195 and Tower Hill Lane. With the design of the tank complete, the design is complete and we're going to be bidding this project in the summer. We need to have a utility easement modified to get electric lines up to the tank and to the project. So with this item is the easement itself to have Bartlett provide that electric service. Bartlett Electric is the cooperative, is the provider for this location in the city. Let's see, prior to Bartlett Electric relining, they have to reline the electric service and installing the underground. That's where we need to have this defined easement and have it approved by council. Let's see, EC needs electric line, it needs to be relocated in the easement so we can afford the maintenance and long term once the tank is constructed, and Bartlett, if they need to use that easement. This is kind of the location of the start where the hill is on the east side of Highway 195, north of Tower Hill Lane. There's an existing tank up there right now, but we're actually constructing a second one. And that is the reason for the realignment, but also the need for this power easement. And then staff recommends the approval of the easement. And if there's any questions, I'm here.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay.
You can proceed to the next.
Okay, so this one is for the approval of a bid we took for pavement markings, which is striping, any of the striping that is done in the city by both engineering through the pavement overlay program, but also our public works and aviation. We get a unit price and a contractor on board. So when we need some striping, anything in the roadways that need to be done, crosswalks, lane striping, et cetera. So the pavement marking contract, it is a 2-year contract for this company to provide us the services for the striping and the markings throughout the city. This contract is utilized, like I said, by Public Works, Engineering, and the Aviation Department. And then on March 31st, we received 2 bids for this project. And those bids were DIJ Construction, Inc. in the amount of $473,664, and DPTV Tango LLC in the amount of $517,929. And DIJ, they've actually been providing service with the city and the contracts for several years, so we have great experience with them. They are reliable, they are prompt, and they do a great service for the city. So our recommendation is to authorize the bid award to DIJ Construction and for the amount of $473,664. And I'm here for any questions.
Council, any questions? No, you have no questions, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Chief Lopez, RS 26-073, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing City of Killeen officials to apply for, accept, decline, modify, or cancel the grant application for the Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority grant program to continue a program targeting vehicle and catalytic converter theft. Sir.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. This presentation is to ask permission to apply for the grant for the Texas Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority to continue our FLOC program, which we started in August last year. The Killeen Police Department seeks approval to submit an application for the fiscal year 27 Senate Bill 244 Catalytic Converter Grant through the Texas Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority. The grant is a key component of the department's ongoing strategic initiative to address the challenges of vehicle and catalytic converter theft, as well as violent crime through the use of advanced technology and real-time data analysis. The department plans to utilize this grant funding to allow to continue the FLOC license plate reader program for an additional 2 years. The program has become a cornerstone of our Real-Time Crime Center initiative. The Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Act grant requires a resolution from the governing authority agreeing to the terms of the grant as a prerequisite for considering an application. If awarded, the grant funding will be used to maintain the department's existing technological capabilities and camera systems, enabling more effective monitoring of areas with high criminal activity throughout the city of Killeen. The total project funding is estimated to be $300,000. The grant amount is $250,000 with a cash match of $50,000. And we have budgeted the cash match in our fiscal year 2027 budget, proposed budget. Staff recommends that the City Council authorize the city manager or their designee to serve as the city's official representative to apply for, accept, modify, or cancel the grant application for the Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority grant program, as well as to execute all necessary documents related to the grant. The City of Killeen must also commit to ensuring that any misuse or loss of grant funds will be fully reimbursed to the Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions, Council? Councilmember Kendrick?
Yes, Chief, so this gonna extend that program with the FLOC cameras, and the FLOC cameras have been a great asset to us, especially as of late, with catching the bad guys, and we putting that information out that you can't travel through our cities and commit crime because we got eyes on you. So I'm all for that system.
All right, thank you, sir. We have a lot of success stories, and when we go live, we have 1 year data started in August, and I plan to bring all the success stories to the council and the mayor and highlighting everything that we've done.
That's all I have.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you. I want to, that is generally funded through the state general funds, correct? It's not any from asset forfeiture or anything?
The Texas Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Act is done through a lot of insurance
Yes, sir.
companies.
Okay.
They fund a lot of these programs.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Wilson, you know, RS 26-074, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing an agreement with Target Solutions, TIPS contract number 230104002 to water damage repair at Stone Tree Golf Course Clubhouse in the amount of $137,676.
Yes, sir. All right, well, council, a little background. Back in January, we had a winter freeze and a copper water line broke on the south side exterior wall of the Stone Tree Golf Course Clubhouse. Significant water damage had occurred to walls, cabinetry, and flooring on the main level. However, regular operations were not impacted. We requested a TML adjuster come out to assess the damage, and they have since approved a quote for the repairs. These are just a couple pictures of the water that was on the floor and a few different rooms in the front. So a quote was received from Target Solutions through a TIPS contract, a cooperative purchasing agreement, in the amount of $137,676 to repair all damage covered by TML. Repairs include wood flooring replacement in several rooms, replacement of sheetrock, damaged cabinetry, woodwork, painting, staining, and other miscellaneous repairs. Repairs are expected to take about 60 days to complete, and work should begin within 30 days of approval. Pro shop and offices weren't affected, and the kitchen had limited damage, so we expect operations can continue with limited impact for the duration of construction. The staff recommends the City Council authorize the city manager or his designee to enter into an agreement with Target Solutions for water damage repairs at the Stone Tree Golf Course in the amount of $137,676, and authorize the city manager or his designee to execute any and all change orders as permitted by state and local law. Any questions I can help answer?
Any questions, council? Just the total amount is, TML covered the entire amount, correct?
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure the public understands. Is it
Yes, sir.
covered
They'll
out of-
cover everything for the repairs.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
All right, thank you, I appreciate it. Council, we have completed the work session. You're going to go ahead and proceed to the regular session. Seeing none, we're going to go ahead to citizens' comments. Citizens are reminded you have 3 minutes with 1 minute time allotted for the city council to respond with a statement or explanation without engaging in dialogue, and your comments are on the agenda. Before we start, I'm gonna make sure make sure you turn your cell phones to mute, so that we don't interrupt anyone speaking. All right, first person is Dr. Sue Croft. Please come forward. You have 3 minutes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I stand before you today not in opposition of economic development, but in support of accountability in economic development. Economic development is too important to our city to operate without measurable public accountability. Tonight, you are being asked to approve an additional $215,000, bringing the Clean Economic Development Corporation public funding to $1.1 million. My question is simple. What measurable return has the public received for the current $885,000? How many jobs were directly created? How many businesses were recruited? How much commercial tax base was expanded? How many local small businesses were retained or scaled? Not projected, not promised, but measured. Because if we cannot clearly define the return, why are we expanding the investment? KEDC has operated as an independent contractor model since 1990, but cities evolve. Killeen has grown, economic conditions have changed. The expectations of taxpayers have changed. The accountability should change too. For $1.1 million, this city should build internal economic development leadership. A dedicated economic development director, support staff, performance benchmarks, quarterly reporting, and direct city oversight. That means the city owns the strategy, the city controls the priorities, and the taxpayers are directly evaluate the results. This is not anti-development, this is smart governance. When public dollars increase, public accountability must increase. Before approving more money, I urge this council to evaluate whether restructuring this function in-house creates greater transparency, greater control, and greater long-term value for the people of Killeen. Because economic development should not just cost money, it should prove its value. I'm not asking you to stop funding economic development. I'm asking you to stop outsourcing accountability. I went on that site and I looked for information about what has improved, what hasn't improved. There hasn't been an update to that website in I don't know how long. The KDEC hasn't even published anything on that site. So again, I thank you for listening to my suggestions, and I hope you take them seriously. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anka Negu.
Thank you, City Council, Mr. Mayor. I'm speaking on item number 6, Animal Advisory Committee. I urge you to make sure that all 3 members that you're going to vote on removing should have the opportunity to come here and talk to you in person as to why they're not able to attend. It is my understanding from speaking with at least one person that that person requested from the very beginning to be able to attend by Zoom because of her work schedule. She asked to attend by Zoom, and she is very interested in being a member, but she was denied that opportunity. And again, she was in constant communication with them, whoever was preparing the agenda, that they want to participate by Zoom, and that opportunity was denied, at least to my knowledge. I don't think that should be the case. If City Council members can participate on Zoom, Animal Advisory Committee members should be able to participate on Zoom. I was a member of the Animal Advisory Committee years ago, and at the time, the shelter manager was required to attend. She herself missed at least 3 to 4 meetings in a row, and she was not removed. Nothing happened. So to say that we have to follow policy, I would urge you to rethink that. Again, I would say to maybe table this and make sure that all 3 members are notified and they're given the opportunity to come here and tell you why they were not able to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brianna Rosales. Oh, there you are.
Hello. My name is Brianna Rosales. I am here today regarding the memorandum declaring 3 vacancies, which would initiate my removal from the Animal Advisory Committee. I want to start off first by making it clear that I am committed to serving on this committee, and I am asking for the opportunity to continue. So back in September of 2025, I proactively informed Ms. Cornelia that my schedule might not allow consistent in-person attendance. I asked for a virtual option since the beginning. That was actually our first correspondence. At that time, I was told that virtual attendance was not available, In November of 2025, I notified her again that I would be starting a new position at one of our local emergency departments beginning December 1st of 2025. And I let her know that I would be providing her my schedule once available. At that point, I received my schedule. I was actually put on 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. They hold their meetings at 5 p.m., so it wasn't going to be possible. I again, at that point, requested a virtual option and was told then that it would be looked into, so that was positive. In March of 2026, I had every intention of attending the meeting that was, I think it was March 4th, but I experienced a flat tire on that day, and I was unable to make it, and I think that would have made it 3 consecutive absences at that point. Later, I discovered that a Zoom link, actually today, I discovered that a Zoom link was sent to me March 24th at approximately 2:45 p.m. The meeting was at 5. I already had a flat tire at that point, so I hadn't checked my email. If I would have known there was a virtual option provided to me that day by some other form of notification, I absolutely would have attended regardless of that flat tire, since it would have been easy to join virtually. At no point was I avoiding participation. I was actively communicating all the way from September until March 4th, and I was asking for solutions so I could remain engaged. Since then, my new schedule has changed. I'm no longer working 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., and I now have the ability to attend all meetings, both in person and if needed, virtually. So I have that flexibility now. I truly care about this work. I want to be here, and I'm asking that you consider my efforts to communicate, my willingness to adapt, and my continued commitment. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Melissa Brown.
Good afternoon. Today I'd like to discuss 2 items that the council has yet to discuss in this meeting. First is the Parcels and Trust Program. I brought this up before when it was initially introduced to the council. My concern that we're actually not going to get a return on investment into this program. Only a third of the properties on the list as far as the tax delinquency are qualified for a parcel and trust or a land banking program. It will require us to hire another law firm and have them on retainer to continue to manage these programs as far as whether or not the properties are able to go up to auction. It's going to require us to pay for an auction either platform or an auctioneer to come in and do those auctions. If they don't sell at auction, it becomes the city's responsibility to maintain those properties in perpetuity until they are sold, putting more extra work on our staff members that are already stretched to their limitations. Even with that, when the city last took over 3 properties over in the west side of Killeen, and we ended up selling them, we took a net loss, I would say, because we only sold them for about $12,000 to $14,000 a piece, but in that process, we waived about $8,000 to $9,000 a piece, and in one case, a little bit more than that, in the delinquent fees for code enforcement and the fines that had accrued on those. And the city was still maintaining those properties in the interim. So we put staff hours, we waived all of those fees from code enforcement, and we didn't really get that much money in the long term. We had to put out 2 different RFPs for it because the first time the buyer withdrew their bid on 2 of the 3 properties. I don't see where this is going to be any more beneficial to us. Now let's talk really quickly about the mill and overlay program. Swanner Loop, well, yes, that road does need some work and it could benefit from mill and overlay. Swanner Loop is primarily used just by the business park. Y'all just gave KEDC, or you're going to vote to give KEDC an extra $215,000. Part of what they're supposed to do with their money is to improve public infrastructure that is intended to bring in economic development. Since that is primarily a road used by them, then they should be paying the money to do the road work in front of that property. And then Turkey Trot is a road that has no curb and gutter. If you go down Onion Road right now, you'll see that the pavement that's been put out there continues to get pushed outward and continues to have ruts in it because there are no curb and gutters to hold that in. Turkey Trot is going to be the same way. We're going to be continuously repairing the pavement that we put down, and it's going to cost us more money in the long run. So until we are at a point where we can fix and put curbs and gutters in there, I think that we're wasting our money to put pavement down on Turkey Trot. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Michael Fernino.
Mr. Mayor, I appreciate that earlier, but as far as any recognition as a veteran, the only thing I want is for city management to recognize that as a disabled veteran, I'm not the source of the city's economic woes, which is one of the items I was going to talk about is KEDC. I'm not in favor of an independent department within the government. The government does not know how to do business. Ask any failed communist state, Cuba, Venezuela, any former Soviet state or satellite country, with the exception of Cuba. I've seen the aftermath of what that is. May I suggest and resurrect the idea to first recognize that the KEDC is a failed, bloated entity that has just taken it for granted that year over year, we're just going to throw tremendous sums of money at them and we get pie in the sky promises, but in the end, we've got nothing. Perhaps if we were to severely reduce their budget and just, I'm not advocating one way or the other, but just as a suggestion, perhaps the idea was brought up previously to give half of the KEDC budget to an entity like Mr. Russell's IBCC. Let them compete. That's business. I mean, historically, when you have politicians and bureaucrats, that's just using the terms to delineate here, when you have politicians and bureaucrats trying to conduct business with public money, never, ever really works out because it's not a zero sum, it's not a profit loss game. So I'm just saying that business is all about competition, and the KEDC has been operating without competition for quite some time. Perhaps with established heavy oversight, give them left and right limits, say, here's the scope. We expect you to produce this or that. Hey, some independent stuff, but here's some areas of focus, but let them compete. Then you're going to see who's actually business-minded and knows how to do business rather than give the taxpayers the business. With regard to the Animal Control Committee, without going too far down a rabbit hole with this one, it has come to light over the last couple of days that Animal Services / Animal Control has had quite its share of problems dating back to the previous assistant city manager. I would say that while we're trying to figure out what's going on with the Animal Services Committee, that the council and the staff really, the new iteration of the council as of next week, focus on fixing what's broken. Go back to formula, figure out where things went off the rail. I mean, I've had some recent interaction with animal control people, and the personnel that I've dealt with have been courteous, professional, everything that one would expect. However, there's something wrong with the way it's being administered. So I think you should put that on your agenda list to look into.
All right, and that was the last public comment. Council, any council member has any? I have a few things that, questions that came up. Another question came up about the website. I know at the last KDC meeting, we were briefed on an update. Now, I haven't been to the site to see if the site has been cleared. If another council member can make note of that, or Mr. Cagle. I know we were briefed on the update to the website. Okay, yeah, for the rebranding. Thank you, Councilmember Gonzalez. As far as, we're gonna pull the Animal Advisory Committee appointments from the consent agenda. There's no objection to that, and council, with your assistance, will review what was brought up by Ms. Rosales. Let's see. And really, I had more statements as opposed to questions. If I missed anything, council, do you have anything else? Ms. Gonzalez?
I did. So one of the constituents asked a question about the roadway in front of Swanner being paid for by EDC. But Mr. Cagle, or can you correct me if I'm wrong, that TERS is the one that pays for the infrastructure, or would be the one that would pay for something like that?
No, ma'am, the TERS
Would not be the
doesn't,
TERS?
neither TERS nor KEDC is responsible for maintaining public infrastructure.
Thank you.
That would be sort of like asking the school district to maintain the public roads in front of their
Sure.
school, or it's a road that the public uses, whether it's business, commercial, no real need for residential there, but school districts on one side, lots of commercial applications there. It's not a KEDC road. Even if they build the roads, they dedicate them to the city, just like a developer would on a residential subdivision or a commercial subdivision. That is the city's to maintain.
And and thank you for that clarification. And do you think it would be too much to ask? Because I know about 3 years ago, we did an update for the community on how EDC works and its function and its design, that we bring it back maybe for a refresh, just because there seems to be a lot of miscommunication there as far as how that actually works. Okay, thank you, sir.
I know, and then it was brought up about the, after COVID, the city attorney, please correct me if I'm incorrect. After COVID, the the Attorney General's guidance for quorums is that even when a council member attends, they're not counted as part of a quorum. So although council members can attend, even when there's a way for committee members to attend, as it stands right now, you're not counted in the quorum. So essentially, I don't know if that's considered a absence or just not a non-counted quorum.
It's not considered an absence, but you don't count to be counted toward the quorum. You have to be physically present. If you have a physical quorum present and then someone's on Zoom, they are counted present. But if you did not have a quorum in person, you wouldn't be able to have the meeting.
All right, thank you. Is there any other council members that make statement of facts? I'll make sure. I hope I got everything. If I didn't, please forgive me. Okay, council. I'm not going to read RS 26-068, so when you consider your motion for the consent agenda, no need to mention that. Consent agenda, MN 26-014, consider minutes of regular city council meeting of April 7, 2026. RS 26-066, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the purchase of technology and equipment for the Rosa Herford Community Center from GTS Technology Solutions in the amount of $235,265. RS 26-067, consider a memorandum resolution approving the purchase and installment of equipment for the outdoor warning siren capital improvement project from Federal Signal in the amount of $250,486.30. Moving on to item 7, RS 26-069, consider a memorandum resolution expiring the conditional use permits for 4 properties in accordance with Killeen Code of Ordinance Section 31-456, subsection E1A. RS 26-070, consider a memorandum resolution amending the fiscal year 2026 agreement with the Killeen Economic Development Corporation to provide economic development services in the amount of $215,000. RS 26-071, consider a memorandum resolution granting an electric utility easement to Bartlett Electric Cooperative Incorporated to provide power to the Highway 195 ground storage tank. RS 26-072, consider a memorandum resolution awarding bid number 26-24, pavement marking services to DIJ Construction Incorporated in the amount of $473,664. RS 26-073, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the City of Killeen officials to apply for, accept, decline, modify, or cancel the grant application for the Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority grant program to continue a program targeting vehicle and catalytic converter theft. And RS 26-074, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing an agreement with Target Solutions, TIPS contract 230-10402 for damage repair at Stone Tree Golf Course Clubhouse in the amount of $137,676. Council, what is your pleasure? Mayor Pro Tem Alvarez.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as you just read it.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem moved to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there a second? Councilmember Solomon.
Seconded.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Alvarez, seconded by Councilmember Solomon. Is there
And
any
Mayor, if I
discuss-
can confirm, that was with the removal of 068? I
Yes.
just wanted to confirm, just
Yes, it
for
is.
clarity. Thank you.
It's been moved and properly second. Is there any discussion? Council, on the motion, Councilmember Solomon. Oh, no. Okay, all in favor denote yes, all opposed no. Motion carried. Thank you, council. All right. We're going to proceed now to RS 26-068. Ms. Wilson, can you come back forward? Council, you've heard the statement made by, you heard my nominations. We had to fill 2 citizen and 1 animal rehab, as presented by staff, and then you had one of the members that was considered for removal. And so, do you have any questions on how best to proceed with this? Ms. Rosales has stated that she had tried to reach out and that she's now conserved. I'm okay with removing one of those if that's what council want to do going forward. Councilmember Kendrick.
I'm actually okay with what you just said too, after listening to the constituent, because we want people on these boards that want to be on the boards, and she sounded very dedicated to being on the board. So I think we should move forward in the way that you just was talking about.
Okay. Councilmember Solomon, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree, given that the constituent has made her way down here to explain herself. There's very few that do that. I believe that it would be the right thing to do is to consider her.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we would,
You had one more person that wanted to speak.
Oh, I'm
If you
sorry.
want to wait.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Gonzalez.
So thank you. I won't belabor that point, then I do agree with everything that you all said, but I just had a quick question just for future process. What is the notification process to these, the committee members in this situation? And then with regards to Zoom and quorum, and how are they notified if they're at risk of being removed?
Yes, ma'am. So we regularly send meeting announcements anytime there's a meeting. With Animal Advisory in particular, we really, really struggle to get a quorum. Within the last year, this board meets quarterly. We've been able to meet one time. That's caused a lot of frustration for existing board members that do attend because they come all the way out, they dedicate their time, and then we have to send them home without having a meeting. Our chair's frustrated. We have another citizen member that's frustrated, and so I'm worried about losing some members that we already have that continue to show up when we have to keep canceling due to lack of a quorum. So even though we could allow Zoom as an option for a non-chair, if it's not going to count towards a quorum, we're going to be in the same boat that we're in today. We did have some good applications that came through for people that want to be there. I'd love to be able to offer a Zoom option if we repeatedly got a quorum in person so that additional people could join via Zoom, but that's not the current situation that we're in.
Okay. And I do feel the due diligence is on the citizen to inquire about their schedule to see if it's going to work for them. But when there's a situation of a change or whatever to the schedule, did we move the meeting times or did I misunderstand that? Or was
That's
it a
one-
request to meet it?
Yes, ma'am. That's one of the things that we did to try and help find a solution as we used to meet at noon, which isn't obviously going to work for everybody. So we polled the group multiple times, the existing board members, to see if there would be a time that would be better for them. We heard from the folks that regularly attend. We did not hear from anybody else. So just to try something different, because we realized noon would be challenging during the week for a lot of people, we tried pushing it to 5. We had the same quorum issues. And so that prevented us from meeting multiple times.
Thank you.
Of course.
Ms., if I may, Ms. Rosales, can you come forward? Again, this is not a hearing. You've heard the council and I, and its intent on before they approve or disapprove my nomination, and you stated that you can now attend. Can you make that commitment on the record?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Well, then, council, then I adjust my nomination to Ms. Wilbanks, Mr. Scotty. Can you pull up so I can get the names right?
Hilder.
Hilda, Scott,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Scotty Hilder, and the rest remains and then we will not declare Ms. Rosales' seat vacant, and I'll need a motion. Councilmember Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make that motion accordingly.
All right, it's moved by Councilmember Solomon, Councilmember Gonzalez.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye or yes? All opposed, no. All right, motion carried. Thank you. All right, we will now proceed to discussion items. Again, council members, you have 3 times to speak, 3 times each. 3 minutes to speak, 3 times each. I just gave you 9 times to speak. Goodness, no. DS 26-035, fiscal year 2026 ADA remediation. Ms. McNair.
Good afternoon. To move forward with compliance with federal and state standards, staff proposes to remediate the following projects: city-owned polling locations, including City Hall, Lions Club, Park Senior Center, utilities collections, and rodeo grounds. In the state of Texas, every municipality that engages in a project of $50,000 or more must comply with the elimination of architectural barriers. The City Council Chamber remodel from 2018 is still an outstanding project in the TDLR Texas Architectural Barrier System. This means that until the project is closed, the city is subject to daily fines. These issues are mirrored in the ADA self-evaluation reports in 2019 and also 2022. The 2018 remodel was designed correctly and as requested. The dais was originally designed and the Registered Accessibility Specialist, RAS, approved it to seat 7 persons. Changes to the dais designed during construction altered the usable space, affecting door clearances and the dais access ramps. The city expanded the dais to be able to seat 8 persons. This change was not reviewed or approved by the RAS. Current seating of 9 further exacerbates the compliance and safety issues. And with that, staff does recommend, and that is by way of our ADA coordinator, that the city manager does move back to the staff box as originally designed and intended. And that is when a full council is in place. Our City Hall remediation includes closing out the TDLR project. Parking lot and entrances will be remediated. First floor restrooms, first floor hallway, and council chamber. Phase 2 will include second floor hallway, council chamber, rear vestibule, and restroom, other items and areas as required by future projects. Our senior center is to include parking and entrances, and also restrooms and accessibility routes. Rodeo grounds, we have over 13,000 visitors at our rodeo last year, and we have a rodeo coming up next weekend. Little plug there. And we have 11 bookings currently scheduled for this fall. Additionally, a rise in visitation is expected this year with the Women's Professional Rodeo Award that the rodeo received just last year for Medium Rodeo of the Year. And also, there's a new honor of being named the only qualifying WPRA rodeo in the state for the Cheyenne Frontier Days. So with the rodeo grounds, we plan to, and we've already done it, added more accessible parking. We are working on accessible routes as we speak. We will be updating the west restrooms and also an investigation of accessible seating options outside of what we have as far as the, I can't even think of the word, but the box, thank you. So next step, city staff is working cross-departmentally to address minor alterations while plans are being made to remediate larger issues. A preliminary estimate of $136,000 has been obtained to address improvements to parking, accessible pathways, and entrances for both City Hall and the Senior Center. Based on the estimate, an RFP will be issued in the coming weeks. Additional project costs totaling $102,000 for both facilities will remediate remaining items in publicly accessed spaces, which is a huge win and significant progress for the city on those two facilities. So here are estimated costs, and it's broken down by the facility, and then you also have the percentage, a total of $434,000, and we do have that funding available in our FY26 CIP, the exact amount. And we do have a contingency built in. We know that currently costs for materials are rising at this time, so we do have a nice cushion built in so we can get all these projects done. To conclude, ADA compliance is an ongoing process. Once identified, items are remediated or resolved based on available funding. After the RFP process, staff will return to City Council. We initially thought July. We may push that back a little bit, but we will be back regarding the remediation work for City Hall and the Senior Center for the accessible parking and entry.
Thank you, ma'am. Council and everyone, I wanted to make sure that this was brought up because when the city manager moves, and it wasn't because there was a new mayor or, because I'm sure a couple of Facebook sites will say that this, will comment on that change. So that you understand, we want to make sure that we are ADA compliant and within the TDLR or the state standards for accessibility, and because it is a little crowded up here. And there's nothing wrong with Mr. Cagle. He bathes, so it's not uncomfortable because of that. But also with that, do you know, and I'm glad, maybe council can do a motion of direction, but I think the council does need to know where we stand on the ADA, the status for the ADA lawsuit that where we were sued by DOJ.
So I will. It wasn't a lawsuit, and I
It wasn't
see
a
Ms.
lawsuit, no.
Clement's face, and she can answer. It was a settlement agreement, and it has since
Right, it has
ran
since
its course.
terminated.
okay.
Yes.
Of course, that's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Cagle.
If you don't mind, it's probably a never-ending process. We will never catch up,
Okay.
but we have to attempt every year to do
Okay.
that.
So maybe we get council and the public get an update of this where we are. I know it's a moving project.
So next week, we are actually having public meetings regarding our transition plan.
Yep.
May 12th, and Savannah Brady, our ADA coordinator, is here, but our communications department has been putting out information about the public meetings for our ADA transition plan. We'll get public input on that, and we will be back to council with it as first a discussion item to get council's feedback, and then we'll come back later after that. I believe it's in July for adoption of that. So that's where we are right now, is developing a transition plan that we put into place. And depending on the funding we get every year, we should be able to knock things off that list progressively each year for the foreseeable future. I don't even want to say the next 10 or 20 years, but
Gotcha.
we'll be working on it.
My statement was a segue for your plug, for
Thank
people to
you.
attend those meetings.
Yes.
And thank you. Any other questions for Ms. McNair? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. DS 26-036, discuss partials in trust program. And Ms. Messer, and if you could also address any of the statements made during regarding, if you remember them.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mayor and Council, this is a presentation regarding the Parcels and Trust Program. On February 3rd, Council approved a motion of direction directing staff to establish a Parcels and Trust Program to foreclose on abandoned properties in accordance with the local government code and make them available for sale to a developer for the purpose of creating low to moderate income housing. Staff estimates that there are currently approximately 114 properties in Killeen that have outstanding liens and are tax delinquent. This is a map of those properties. As you can see, Many of them are located in the North Clean revitalization area. In accordance with the Texas Tax Code, a municipality may foreclose on a health and safety lien if the property is less than 1 acre, has been abandoned for at least a year, and has been tax delinquent for at least 3 years. Of the 114 properties, approximately 35 meet this criteria, which means they are eligible for foreclosure proceedings. In addition to the 35 that meet the criteria for foreclosure, staff has identified 46 that are lien burdened, vacant, and tax exempt. So the next step towards making additional properties eligible for foreclosure will be to get these abandoned and tax exempt properties back on the tax rolls by filing protests with the Bell County Appraisal District. City staff has taken steps to reclassify an existing position. We had a lien collection specialist position, which has been reclassified to a revitalization coordinator. Implementation of the new Parcels and Trust program will be a primary responsibility of this position. The position is currently unfilled. It says here it's currently advertised. The position is closed. We're scheduling interviews next week. So once the position is filled, staff will begin implementation of the program. The first step towards implementation will be to establish an agreement with KISD, Bell County, and CTC to transfer property that does not sell at a tax sale to the city to hold in trust. The city will also need to partner with a law firm that specializes in tax foreclosures and initiate foreclosure proceedings on eligible properties. I will say that we already have a contractual relationship with MBBA, so that's already in place. It's just a question of amending that contract. The revitalization coordinator will be actively involved in all tax sales for properties in Killeen, and if a foreclosed property does not sell at the tax sale, the city would take ownership of the property and maintain it until such time as it is conveyed to a new owner. The intent there is not to own it, maintain it forever, it's to convey it to a new owner. The revitalization coordinator will also be responsible for identifying abandoned tax-exempt properties, filing protests with the appraisal district, and returning them to the tax rolls. Once some or all of the properties have been foreclosed, the city will put out an RFP for development of the properties for purposes of creating low to moderate income housing. And the city will then partner with the developer to redevelop the abandoned properties, create housing, and put them back on the tax roll. Happy to answer any questions you have.
One of the items that came up was return on investment. Is that an issue for these? I know we aren't collecting money if they're tax exempt already.
Correct. So the overarching goal, as I said a couple of times, is ultimately to put these back on the tax rolls, to make these properties fiscally productive and contribute to the city's tax base. By using by reclassifying an existing position, I don't know that the level of investment is significant necessarily. I mean, there's a workload, of course, associated with taking on this work. But if these properties are back on the tax rolls as a result, then I think that it plays very well into the city's overall efforts towards revitalization, which is a big part of what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Alvarez.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Mesher, for the presentation. And we've talked about this several times, and as someone who's grown up in here on 18th Street in downtown Killeen, this is something that I believe is long overdue. You know, a lot of these properties, even when I worked for the city doing code enforcement in these areas, there's properties that the city has been maintaining unofficially since the 80s, as far as I could tell, with zero return on investment. And so we're having to mow them, we're having to clean up the trash, we're having to take care of them with no end in sight. So I think this at least allows us to have the ability to control that narrative and focus and have an end in sight for these properties and this part of our community that feels neglected. You know, a lot of the homeowners who live there, I know when I grew up there, it kind of felt like you were the stepchild of Killeen and you were kind of forgotten about. So I think that this part of our community needs the city's help, and I think that this will benefit not only by providing that end in sight and providing a final solution to the taxpayers instead of continuing to unofficially maintain these properties for the next 50 years is to put it into the hands of somebody who's going to do something with it and create some affordable housing options for our community. And also, like you said, put it back on the tax rolls and relieve the taxpayers from that burden of having to unofficially maintain all these properties. So I applaud y'all for the work, and I know it's not an easy task. There's so many different moving parts to this, but I think ultimately it will benefit the taxpayers and the community at large. So thank you again.
Any other questions of Ms. Messer or statements or discussion? All right. The Mayor Pro Tem said it all. Thank you, Ms. Messer.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next item is DS 26-037, discussion regarding pavement overlays for 2026. Mr. Zagers.
Good afternoon, Mayor and fellow council members. So this discussion is about the work that we're going to be doing this summer for overlaying the roadways throughout the city. So right now, the city of Killeen maintains approximately 566.24 centerline miles of roadways. That's 2-lane, 3-lane. That's how many roads, how many we have. On September 14th, 2021, that City Council passed an ordinance to increase the street maintenance fee to $10. That $10, those fees are split up to have $4.3 million annually for the pavement maintenance. That is used by the contracts like this for the overlay, but also through our public works. We have $4 million annually for putting into a bank for street reconstruction, for those roads that have gone dilapidated so far to the point where it's not economically feasible to do maintenance, where we have to actually do the replacements and rebuilds. That's your Watercrest, your Bunny Trail, your Gilmer, Stagecoach. I mean, all those roads that it doesn't make sense to continually put money towards. We got to rebuild them. And then $1.6 million is annually to repay that $24 million bond that was for the street reconstruction back in 2021, 22, and that was for Bunny Trail, Gilmer, Watercrest, Stagecoach, and Willow Springs. The pavement maintenance is performed both, like I said, outside contractors, but also our public works staff. So the potholes, the small areas of paving, crack sealing, that's typically done through our public works department. But when we get to these bigger projects where we need a contractor, this is where we use that funding as well. In regard to street maintenance, there's various ways we can maintain a road and repairs. There's that crack sealing. That's the little spider webs you see on the road. There's patching. That's where we cut out a section, replace it with asphalt. Typically potholes, having to fill the potholes or patch those sort of areas. There's pavement markings, that's included. So when we have to replace that striping, replace those crosswalk stripings, the lane striping, that's part of this. Slurry seal, that's done through a contract. Actually, I've always said that some of the striping is done by staff, but also contract. But slurry seal, that's kind of that real thin sand black paint you go over a roadway. That's typically the first thing you would do after crack sealing, and that's when you have an older asphalt that's kind of getting dilapidated, the sun, the UV has broken it down, and you only want to fix the very top surface course and kind of seal it up so you don't let water go inside. That's that one. Micropaving is your next kind of level, and that's where you get a little thicker part of that asphalt. That's where you're using like a 3/8 gravel type of aggregate. So it's a thicker layer, and it's a polymer type asphalt. So it's a thicker, more thin layer of an asphalt. And then, of course, mill and overlay is where you strip out 1 or 2 inches of asphalt, cut it down, and replace it with brand new asphalt. Or it could go thicker, depending on whatever the road is, whatever the circumstance. And obviously, price goes up as you go down the list. Crack sealings are cheapest, and as you start going down, prices start to increase. And when we try to determine these locations, we use what we consider a pavement condition index. It's a rating from 1 to 100. It helps tell us what that condition of that roadway is based on cracks. It's based on rutting, any of those surface deflections and surface faults we have on asphalt. We look at that, and we actually have a company that comes out, uses lasers, and gives us that number. And that number, we can go to the next, we'll go to another curve. We can explain that a little bit more. But on October 24th to 23, that I was talking about, we had a professional service with a company called Transmap, and they surveyed and they drove every roadway. They used lasers, they scanned, found every crack, and then through software, through a certain approved program through AASHTO and a calculation, that's where they determine those PCI values. And then when we look at 1 to 100, our overall goal that we've been wanting to set ourselves is to maintain an average PCI for all the roads, average roads in the city to be 77. Currently, our averages, our arterials are right around the main roads are around 77, but our residential streets are starting to drop. They're right now around a 72. And then this is this example, this curve kind of shows how asphalt ages. You're at the beginning of the part of the curve here, that's where it's brand new. Your PCI level's in that green, it's 100, it's brand new. But then as the years go by, it starts following that curve, slow at first, but then as you get kind of towards that 10-year, or 10, 20-year, depending on, this curve actually represents a 20-year design life, which is really what our new standards are. Our last standards, you can just double, you actually half those numbers. We used to have a 10-year design life. So it aged a lot quicker. It got bound to the bottom of the curve a lot quicker than our roads as we're designing and building now. But as you see, it's flat at the top, and while you're at the top, you're using those those crack ceilings, those cheaper maintenance. But then as you start getting to this part, the condition, the numbers start dropping. You're starting to have to go to thicker, more expensive type of maintenance. So in this area, in the 70, 75, you're doing that thin overlay. Thick overlays, that's your mill and overlays when you start getting to about here. And really in this area, between right here, 15, 18 years, you have a severe drop in what the condition of your road is. So once you get down past about here, you're at a point where you can't bring it up, you can't do enough to do maintenance to keep the road economically feasible. You're spending more money onto that road to do maintenance to keep it active and not have that condition, then you're at that point where you just have to kind of just put it on a list, remove it, and replace it and rebuild the brand new road. These little curves up here kind of show what the results are when you do a maintenance. So if you're coming down here and you do a micro seal, you're popping that curve back on here, you're resetting the curve. So now the curve is going to start dropping a little bit more, a little farther down the time frame. And ideally, you want to just kind of let it drop, do more maintenance, and kind of repeat it, that you're extending the life of that road in a more economical, cheaper way than letting it drop to the bottom and then spending a lot more. Instead of hundreds of $1,000s a mill and overlays, you're spending millions of dollars to replace it. Let's see, how do you get, there we go. Anyway, Transmap, when they did their analysis in 24, they've actually done it 3 times now. So they've actually allowed us to get 3 points of a curve, so we're getting a little more accurate on how we can predict how these roads are going to age. So in 2013, you can see we were really good. We were 84 on a piece. These numbers are PCI values, so we were higher up on the curve. And then in 2019, it started dropping. We got down to that 75, 83, and then in 25, right after Uri, we started putting in a lot more overlays of those arterials. So in 21, 2021, 22, 23, we started doing the W.S. Youngs, the Shamir, and that actually brought that PCI level from a 75 back up to an 83. So we're doing what we want to do, at least on the arterials. Collectors, we brought it up. They're still not quite to that 77, and then residentials we haven't quite hit yet until last year when we actually did a few streets. But you can see how those numbers dropped. And then when it comes to that, we start finding with those numbers, what does it take and how much does the city really need to spend to bring those numbers back up to that 77? We have 3 scenarios, what Transmap actually did, based on what we wanted to do. So if we did nothing, didn't spend anything, and in their analysis, the arterials at 2029 would drop from that 76 down to a 68. The collectors down to a 59, and then the residential 60. And if you look back at that curve, you're starting to get that steep part. So doing nothing in 2029, our roads are really going to start dropping in their quality. You're going to have a lot more failures, a lot more rough roads, a lot of more parts that are going to be falling apart, and a lot more expensive to try to fix them. Funding scenario number one was trying to keep the arterials down to a 73, keep the arterials at a 63 and residential to a 63. That is a $4 million budget, which is what we have now. So what we spend annually for $4 million, we're kind of right now in this number one scenario. So obviously our 77 goal is going to be pretty much unachievable by 2029. This doesn't take into account some of the some of the roads. It may fluctuate, and this is again just based on the analysis on our curves. What we do every 3 years, we reanalyze to see kind of where we are. Some of those roads may not age, like the others. There's different circumstances based on where it is in the city, what are the soils. Every road ages slightly different. But when we look at it, that's kind of what we're anticipating if we just continue with what we're spending on these roadways. Funding scenario 2 is our goals, keeping those arterials at an 85, a 77 on collector, 76 on residential, and that we would have to be spending on average $9.38 million a year for maintenance. And this kind of example shows, with the roads the way they are, the way they were built, we were building roads that were only living with a 10-year design. So that was one of the main reasons we wanted to change our design to be a 20-year life. So all the new roads that are getting built, all the new residential roads, all the ones that we're replacing, we're making them to where they last longer before we have to do anything. So we can help another way of affecting the curve and how much money we have to spend. If we can get the averages of all the roads with longer roads that are take longer to have more maintenance, we can help affect on some of those averages. So that's one of the approaches we've ever done. But also we're having to look at other ways to maintain. What can we do and play around to try to keep something between 1 and 2 with the budgets we have. But again, as we start finding those curves, we'll know in a few years if it's actually working, or is it something that we have to start looking at more funding. Okay, so this map actually is showing a little better. We darkened it. You see a little bit of, if you looked at it and printed it out, all the blue lines and then there's red lines in there show all the roads that need some sort of maintenance in the city. And these are the type of roads that are, this isn't the potholes, this isn't the crack ceiling. This is the roads that are all these things that will need a micro seal, a slurry seal, a micro seal, or some sort of a mill and overlay. So as you can see, there's a lot of roads, a lot of them in the south end. Reason being, a lot of those roads were built 10, 15 years ago. So you're at that point where you need to do something with these things. A lot of these old subdivisions, the newer ones, these roads were aging based on what they were designed to do. We're at that time frame now, so now we have to start looking at it. And then, as we go into this year, these are the roads that we're proposing. So we looked at those PCIs, we looked at those roads that needed something to do. We tried attacking the lower ones that needed more of the mill and overlays this year. We hit some of the major roads like Jasper, Bunny Trail. We finished up the main project, but now we want to finish the whole road. So south of that from Canadian Loop, all that needed was a mill and overlay. So that's this project right here for District 4. And up here, we wanted to attack more of these subdivision type areas. The reason we group them together, it's cheaper to get a contractor out to mobilize once instead of spreading them out all over the city. So when we look at these, we do group them into one neighborhood, and we try to do all these mill and overlays in one spot. So these are kind of the areas, at least graphically in the map, which ones we're looking at. The red ones are the mill and overlays. When we say backup, these are the ones in yellow. If we get to the point where we do all these roads and we have extra money, we're going to keep milling. We're going to keep milling and overlaying roads until we run out of money, and that's the goal. So the next few slides are the list per district of the ones that we plan on mill and overlaying this year, and then also the backups. So if we have an opportunity to do more and prices came in good, we're not using much, we're going to try spending everything until we run out. So in District 1, These are kind of the streets we're looking at: East Jasper Drive, Lamplatt Drive, Spicewood Drive, Cimarron, Carousel, Creekwood, Coach. That's that one big area that's a subdivision, but these are also mostly residentials with obviously exception of Jasper Drive. And Chestnut and Silver Drive. District 2, our main road is the W.S. Young from Elms Road to Stan Schluter. That's our arterial, but then we're going to go into the residentials this year, do Haynes Drive, Patriotic Street, Valley Forge, Yorktown, Saratoga, Liberty Bell, Greenlee Drive, Edgewood, Timber Oak, I got ahead of myself. Timber Oak, Honeysuckle, Forest Hill, and Green Valley Drive, again, clustering all those residentials that tie into each other. District 3, we're looking at West Jasper Drive, so continuing Jasper Drive past the boundary of the two council districts. And then get in the residentials of Quail Circle, Corona Drive, Bermuda Drive, Highland, Bobby Lee Drive, Leanne Drive, West Lane, Leisha Drive, Mona Drive, Leader Drive, Sagebrush, Rostan, and Big Bend. With Leisha, actually, they're all residential. There's a little error on the class, but those are all residential streets. District 4, well, we're tackling Bunny Trail because it's a big, expensive, wide road. So the cost of that, we were trying to spend the right amount of money per each district, but obviously that's a big, expensive one, is Bunny Trail, to finish that thing out. So that's our main arterial that we're doing for that district. And then we have these backup secondaries. That's where we're looking at Swanner Loop. So we're not planning to pave Swanner Loop this year. That's a backup if we have extra. But again, we also have North 60th, Duggar, Fox Creek, Little Rock. Turkey Trot is a possibility, but it's not on a list to do this year. Cody Poe, Edgefield. Cody Poe probably won't be done because we have Watercrest under construction, and that is a very expensive one. Now, next year, these are the ones that come to the top of the list, so these will probably be the ones that will be proposed next year. In regard to Turkey Trot, there was a public comment about comparing that to Onion Road. They are old county roads. It is, no curb and gutter. There is a slight difference between the two. Onion Road had a lot deeper ditches, and that plays into how you should repair a road. I think Onion Road was just mill and overlaid, treated the surface place, but with that one with the open ditches, you probably wanted to do a little bit deeper type of a section type of repair. We kind of found out, when you look at it now, it is aging a lot quicker, so it was farther on that curve, so it's dropping more. In the long term, I think Turkey Trot or Onion Road will probably be one of those roads we'll want to actually go right to reconstruction, bringing it up to standards, put the curb and gutter, but that'll be obviously a lot more expensive capital project that the city will have to propose in the future. And then, obviously, Swanner Loop, there was a discussion, but again, that'll be on next year's list. And with that, any questions?
Thank you, sir. I don't see any questions yet. You answered the Turkey Trot one. I appreciate that one. Mr. Kendrick.
Yes. When they go into, I think I discussed this with you before, when they go into all of these roads, the time frame that they're gonna let the citizens know that they need to remove those vehicles, and can you pretty much tell the citizens what's gonna happen if those vehicles are on the road when it's time for that road to be overlaid?
So our contractor will be working with notifying the public, either with door tags, putting them on their mailbox, putting them in their doors, also putting some signs on each street, usually typically a week or two before they get out there, notifying the public to move their cars. If it gets to the point where those cars are still there when the contractor brings in the milling machine and starts bringing with the asphalt, we will have to tow them. But we are planning 1 to 2 weeks ahead of time to notify everybody, door to door, that we cannot have those cars parked between whatever days that we'll have on those signs.
And the other thing, I know we purchased a machine to do a lot of the potholes. That saved us a lot of money because there's more that we can do by purchasing that machine to do that work. So we can repair minor potholes and things like that. And I believe the company that's gonna do the overlay on Bunny Trail, they will be fixing those actual holes prior to the overlay.
Okay,
Am I
there's
correct?
two things it sound like. So yes, our public works crews do pothole repairs. They also have a small paving machine to do small areas. With Bunny Trail, if our contractor goes out there and they mill and they remove that asphalt and they start finding soft spots or isolated little spots, they will perform individual repairs for those areas. So they'll beef up the base or add a little bit more asphalt or thicken it, mill it down a little bit more in order to address those isolated spots. So that is part of the overlay as well.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Solomon?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the presentation, sir. In District 2, in reference to overlays, I want to understand it. One of the streets, like Zephyr Road, is that in play for some type of repair overlay?
So Zephyr is actually not in a mill and overlay. That is one of the capital projects where we're actually looking at total reconstruction. That was, I believe, we were put in this year's budget to do the design. We don't have enough to reconstruct it. It's a very long road, but right now we're in negotiations with our consultant to come up to council with a design contract where we will design the whole project. And then when the pot of money for the street fees start piling, filling up to where we can redo these roads, and we get to that time with Zephyr, then we will start reconstructing it. It'll probably be done in phases, that's where that is. We still have the second phase of Stagecoach to go, which we will be bidding this summer. And then after that, we will then go to Willow Springs, and then after that is Zephyr, at least for construction-wise. And then from there, we'll probably look at what other roads are there. Onion could be a possibility as well.
And as we do these roads, we are, in reference to communicating with the citizens, we are like, I know you're doing advertising, putting on their doors. We're putting in probably the water bill. Are we announcing, how are we doing it in terms of?
Typically, we go door to door because it's a lot quicker than having to kind of coordinate it with our utility bills. Those inserts are planned out, and typically they're months ahead of time we're laying out. This is a lot more faster type of pace, so our contractor is doing more door to door and meeting the public face to face.
And citizens can go on the website to see the entire list of.
We're going to have this on the website, and we'll work with communications as well, so we can get that out there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Ms. Gonzalez?
Thank you. So with the increase that we're projecting, there's not been a talk about increase in the actual fund. Are we observing or keeping our eye open on, state and federal grant opportunities that would present themselves over the years to help us as our need grows and the expense also grows along with it for funding these road projects?
We obviously look for grants. Unfortunately, grants do not affect maintenance. They affect, now when we get to the reconstruction, we're doing a total rebuild, those are a little bit more available for grant opportunities. But, we've got a long list of projects we're doing right now. Every year we're going to go for grants. I mean, it would make sense. We're open for any free money we can get. Anything to help us out, we can. But, right now we're working on Rancière, we're working on Chaparral. We've got a few other opportunities. We're looking at BNSF, trying to get some railroad grants. We're always open, keeping our eyes open for whatever's available.
Thank you for clearing that up. So the maintenance is not included.
Yeah,
in those
maintenance,
projects.
general
Thank you.
maintenance doesn't, but when you get to that reconstruction, that is a new project, that's building a new road, those are eligible.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Zegers. I know we voted to lower the base or the bed of the roads. Will that eventually affect some of the residential? I know like Stagecoach, we took it 2 inches lower.
Stagecoach, we made a significant change. We went from what was out there from a 2 inches of asphalt, to either 8 inches or 10 inches of rock, depending on where it was in that area. We now have 2 inches of a surface asphalt with 4 inches of base asphalt with another 12 to 18 inches of rock. So we went from this to this.
Now, does that prolong our when we get to the point of our residential roads? I know you're going to have to make that call that, hey, we got to replace this.
So we updated our pavement design manual 3 years ago. We changed the methodology a little bit more to meet more like a TxDOT do a calculation. We're going to have a road that we want to make sure you're doing a calculation that it'll last for 20 years before you have to do an overlay. So they are thicker. They're going to be thicker. You know, it used to be 1.5 inches of asphalt that every went out. We have a minimum of 2 inch everywhere. And then if at residential, if you don't do the calculation, you're going to get 3 inches of asphalt. So we put into our standards something that'll last longer before we have to start dealing with mills and overlays. And again, trying to affect and extend, you know, the need for addressing a road.
Councilmember Solomon brought up Zephyr Road. I know that's a project, but we're gonna make sure, so this overlay, this will be this year coming?
These are this year, this is this summer.
Okay, so they won't
Yeah.
won't be having an issue with
And
Zephyr Road starting and Liberty Road?
No, Zephyr is not going to be, we have to start a design.
Yeah.
And then again, we have to then wait till the money is available to start constructing it. That's such a long road, it'll probably be multiple phases, so we'll do piece at a time as we get money. Similar, we're doing with Stagecoach.
Right.
We didn't instead of doing the whole thing at once, we did how much we had for money. You know, 2 years ago, we had enough to get a contract. We got that limit to W.S. Young. Now we have enough in the pot of money to go from W.S. Young to 190, and that's why we're bidding that this summer.
And since we have a few future council members in here and a couple of current ones that are going to be here after the 12th, we have been advocating for additional funds, and this Basics Act, which I did sign a letter of support for, would actually open the door for some funding. So, but you guys are going to have to continue to fight and make sure Congress give us that money, and that includes changing the grant requirements that Mr. Zegers talks about. One of those bills actually takes away some of those requirements to not just for new roads, but also repair, because we advocated that it's not just the repair stuff that cities maintain. I mean, new roads, we got to maintain the roads. And so whoever's on K-Tempo and whoever goes to NLC, please make sure your voices are loud. And also go down to Austin to make sure we get the funds that we need, and write letters. And that's not just the council, that's also the residents, because just us doing it doesn't mean as much. You write the people that you vote, you send to Congress and tell them, hey, we need this. So with that, if there's nothing else from the council, I appreciate your presentation, Mr. Zegers, and council for your discussion and questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next, let's see, discuss the May 12, 2026 special meeting to canvass the general and special elections and consider ordinances approving the canvass results. Ms. Calcote.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. There were two agendas that were sent out earlier today for this matter. One was the canvassing agenda for 4 o'clock, and I believe council members Kendrick and Gonzalez have agreed to conduct the canvassing. So we only need 2 members of council available for that. And then at 5 p.m., there will be another special meeting for the ordinance, canvassing the election results, special recognitions and remarks, oaths of office and certificates of election will be issued. The standards of conduct will be read and signed, and then an election of a mayor pro tem will be on the agenda as well. And I'm available to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions, council? So that all of you that are going to be swearing in, the time was moved so that you can get your family members here and everybody to watch. So again, congratulations to all those that won, and continue to work those folks that are on council, and glad we have more voters. Now we just got to support this new mayor and council to make sure we proceed with moving the city forward and doing the things that we're supposed to do to take care of it. Ms. Calcote, thank you for what you've done. If there's no question from Ms. Calcote?
No,
None?
sir.
Then we'll move on to DS.
Thank you.
26-039. Discuss executive search firm for a city manager appointment.
Council. So as stated, we're here to discuss executive search firms for the future city manager appointment. Just a little bit of background. On April 7th, City Manager Kent Cagle announced his retirement effective May 29th. Also on April 7th, the City Council gave staff direction to prepare a list of executive search firms for consideration in the search for a city manager and to provide that list for discussion today, May 5th. Staff solicited firm recommendations from cities across the state of Texas. Additionally, we did receive a few responses from firms that reached out to us after seeing the announcement of the city manager's retirement. So those were taken in as well. In total, we received 11 proposals from 11 different firms. That is inclusive of all of those on the list. You were provided either a notebook or an electronic file with all of the data on these firms, as well as what I refer to as kind of like a cheat sheet, which gives some pertinent information breakdown. It makes it a little bit easier to compare firms to each other versus some of these proposals, which are in excess of 90 pages. So that being said, what we're here to do tonight is get direction from council regarding which firms you would be interested in interviewing in furthering the city manager search.
All right, council, we have already said we're going to help the next council with this process, so that it doesn't feel like they're just starting. And I think the recommended number is 3, or is it more? Council, you can decide that.
Yeah, you guys can decide.
But the next council shouldn't have to start the process of trying to find narrowing it down, because the next step will be interviewing of the ones that you guys, and that'll be the next council to take care of. Does anyone have any questions of Ms. McDaniels? Ms. Daniels? Oh, Ms. Gonzalez, I'm sorry.
Thank you. So in looking at the information, thank you for all this information that was provided, but doing a further deep dive, council, the number one, the highest ranked or leader amongst strategic search partners in Texas was the Strategic Government Resources that had the broadest reach. And so my recommendation, based on their successes and the fact that they do come highly recommended across the entire state of Texas, but they have nationwide search results that have been very, very good, highest rated for municipal searches. I think that I would like to at least move Strategic Government Resources as option 1 to interview. And then Affion Public is my number 2, and Clear Careers is my number 3.
Okay, that's, when we're doing, eventually we'll do a motion of direction, so we got so far.
Yes, sir.
Strategic Government Resources.
The highest ranked in Texas, yes, sir.
Clear Careers and Affion.
And Affion, yes, sir. Thank you.
Any others the council want? While you, yes, can you pull up? Yeah. So while you're, Councilmember Solomon?
Thank you. Yes, the Clear Career, and my recommendations would also be the GPS.
GPS, Government Professional Solutions.
Yes.
So right now we're at 4. And I will say that as I reviewed these, my saying was Affion Public, Government, GPS, SGR, but also Mosaic was another. But that, Councilwoman, consider that puts us at 5 as recommended. But again, how you want to proceed is up to you. Any others? So we've named Affion, Clear Careers, Government Professional Solutions, Mosaic Public Partner, and Strategic Government Resources. And full disclosure, I do not work for any of these, nor do I get paid by any or own stock in any of these. Nor will I be working for any of these after the 12th. So, anyone else? So we've named 5. So we can do a motion of direction. We can't make, it's not for staff to proceed with those 5, or we can narrow it down. How do you wish to proceed? Okay. Councilmember Kendrick.
I believe we should narrow it down to 3. by listening to a few of the other council members, I'm pretty much in agreement with the ones Councilwoman Jessica, Ms. Gonzalez just gave. My bad. I'm sorry.
Hers were Athlon, Strategic Government Resources, and
Clear.
That leaves out, so we don't have a consensus. So that leaves out Government Professional Solutions and Mosaic Partners. Okay. Is there a consensus? I heard said that we want to make it 4 or 3, so let's get that consensus straight now. You want to make it 5, 4, or 3? What is the council?
So I would recommend 4. I'm okay with, obviously, the selection I made. Thank you, Councilmember Kendrick. I would just add Councilmember Solomon's recommendation for GPS, and that leaves us with 4. It's a balanced, even number. I think that's a good place to start.
All right, Councilmember Solomon.
I would agree with that.
Okay. Councilmember Kendrick?
Yeah, well, I'm good with that.
Okay, so I get a motion of direction. So right now, the recommended ones are Athlon, Clear Careers, Government Professional Solutions, and Strategic Government Resources. Councilwoman Gonzalez.
I make a motion to bring forward for interview Strategic Government Resources, Affion Public, Clear Careers, and Government Professional Solutions.
That motion has been made to direct staff to bring back those 4 named. Is there a second? Councilmember Kendrick.
I second.
And second by Councilmember Kendrick. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor, please denote yes. All opposed, no. Motion of direction carries. Thank you, council. Let's see. That was the last item of business today, all business being concluded. Although this is not officially not my last, the next meeting will be my last. It has been a pleasure to serve with you all. I'm not gone. I'll probably be sitting in the back eating my popcorn and watching. But I wish you all well, and God bless you, the city of Killeen, and God bless America, and the 250-year anniversary. A motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
It's been moved by the Mayor Pro Tem and seconded by Councilman Solomon. All opposed say yes. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed. Motion carried. Have a good day.